Hello, and welcome to Punch Fear in the Face. I'm your host, Shannon, and I ain't even scared. Today, I am coming out of the closet. Yep, the woo woo closet. Not that you guys didn't already know. I mean, if you've heard me talk, I am full woo woo. But why is that important to punching fear in the face? I will say because the ultimate fear is probably the fear of death, right? And I have never feared death. And why is that? Well, I'm going to tell you my story today and and come out of the closet. It started when I was young. I always felt energies around me. I would I would hear my name being called and I'd wake up. I'd have strange downloads and I would think somebody was sitting at the end of my bed and I would wake up and there would be nobody there. And this continued. And I hate to bring this up when it comes to connecting to the fifth dimension, if you will, or other energies, things you can't see. I hate to bring this up because it is true that we live in a world of duality and there are dark energies. And I remember being young and having some dark energies come to me. And I remember when I said no, they went away instantly. So I learned at a very young age not to be scared because I knew I was in control of whatever it was I was feeling. I mean, like I said, I hate to bring up that because it is 99% love and light, I promise. But we are in a world of duality, good, bad, dark, light. The yin and yang, and so it does exist, but you have a choice, and it's very easy to just say no. And as I got older, I read books and I read that that's how you do it. That's how a lot of mediums and psychics do it. It's very, very easy to protect yourself from dark energy. So anyway, so it's all mostly light and love, and I started to feel these energies. And then, like most little kids, I had an imaginary friend, but he was my spirit guide, I know now. And I I always feel him to my left. I don't know why. And I named him Charlie when I was 7. And Charlie's my ride or die. He's my ride or die. He's been with me always. And is it my imagination or is it real? Listen, I am not here to convince anybody of anything. Okay, you can't. This is called faith, and this is my faith. I have 100% faith that there is more to life, that you do go on, that the spirit continues, and that your loved ones are still there. I have that faith. And that has given me a lot of peace because faith does bring peace. And I'm not trying to convince anybody because I'm whole and sovereign in what I believe and what I have faith in. And it's given me a lot of peace. And it's made me a little fearless because I do not fear death, especially at this point. I'm older. I've had a great life. I have I don't have a death wish, I'm not as scared because of my connection when I was young. So let me go back. So I'm young. I have an imaginary friend. He feels very real to me. And then I start to have experiences and I start to gravitate towards books. Like I was 14 and picked up Carlos Castaneda and things like that. And the list of books grew as into my 20s. And I will say that I had a dad who was an artist and he was a little woo woo. But my brother, I have one brother and he's atheist. So I hate to throw him under the bus because he lives in the South. Sorry, brother. He's like, stop it. You can't tell anybody. You can't tell people that here in the South. I'm like, oh. And my husband's sort of an atheist too. So it's funny how I've surrounded myself by a lot of my friends. Just they don't understand this. I think that a lot of us empath, intuit, and psychic types hang out with the opposite. I think it helps keep us grounded. Although recently I've had to reach out to people that I can relate to, who can help me, who can help mentor me. And I'm so glad I did because learning that I was empathic, that I was an empath was huge. I didn't know I was carrying. And let me say something. Being empathic doesn't mean I have empathy. It does mean I understand it. It doesn't, no, it means I have no sympathy. That's what I mean. I can be empathic, but not sympathetic. So I feel everybody's energy and I feel everything. And I've learned to protect myself now, and that's a whole other episode because I think so many people are. I have friends, and now I see that they are too, and I see that them carrying energy that's not their own. But anyway, so as I was growing up, I started to just gravitate towards books. And I remember in my 20s, I learned who the Pleiades were. And that's aliens and the Pleiades, that's why we're going out there. But I started reading books, and I believe it all. I believe it all. It's all real. It's all true in my mind. Okay. And I'm not hurting anyone. So let me have that belief. As long people can believe whatever they want and have any kind of faith they want, as long as they're not trying to push it on anybody or hurt anybody. And I find that the stronger your faith is, the less desire you have to actually proselytize or convince anybody. Because I don't care what you believe. I mean, I'd hope that you believe this because I know it'll bring you peace and it'll help you punch fear in the face. But so I started reading about books. To name some of my favorites, it would be Neil Donald Walsh, Conversations with God. Wonderful. Oh, Brian Weiss, he is a hypnotherapist, credited. He went to one of those fancy Ivy League schools. He's a doctor, and he started hypnotizing people, and they started going into past lives, living traumatic events in a past life. And just by seeing it, a lot of them would come out healed. So Brian Weiss, and I have to tell you a story about him because I got to see him once. And then Joe Dispenza, I've talked about him. Deepak Chopra, we've all heard of him. Richard Bach, Don Miguel Ruiz. The Four Agreements. Everybody has to read that book and live by it. Okay. Eckhart Tolle. I mean, I just started going down these rabbit holes and started learning and learning and learning. And in 2007, listen to this lineup. It was a Hay House production or event, and Louise Hay, she's a new ager and has a she publishes all the new age books back when no one would touch this stuff, by the way. Nobody wanted to publish this stuff, and she was publishing it. And so it was an event in Phoenix in 2007. It was Deepak Chopra, Brian Weiss, Joe Dispenza, who else? Neil Donald Walsh. Oh, I love him. All in one place. And that's just naming a few. Now, these guys today could fill up an auditorium by themselves. So I was really grateful to get to meet them all back then. Well, not meet them. I mean, there was a lot of people there, but I got to see them up close and personal. And Brian Weiss, the hypnotherapist, he wrote a book, which one's his? Many Lives, Many Masters, I believe is his. And it's just a brilliant book. And he actually put the entire room into sort of a meditative trance and put us all into a past life. And I was there, and it happened to me. And he's really good. A lot of these hypnotherapists, when they put you into past life, they get you into the zone. You have the body is the vessel, the antenna, the portal. So you got to get there. And then when you're there, he says, now look down at your shoes. What are you wearing? And I couldn't believe it. I looked and I saw them as clear as day. And it just couldn't have been my imagination. Like, where would I get this stuff? And I'll just tell you guys, I was a fur trapper's wife, and I saw my shoes. I still don't know. Like, I had never seen shoes like this in any history books, but I got a sense of where I was. I got a sense of the time in history. I saw what I was wearing. I looked over and saw my kids. I saw the house. I saw all the dead animals hanging everywhere. I saw who my husband was. It's weird because it's weird who my husband was because it just makes no sense. But yeah. So, of course, that was a real experience to me. And so I became a believer. No, even then, I was in 2007, I was raising kids, I was running a business. I mean, I didn't have the time and space to go full woo-woo and sort of practice these things on a regular basis, but I certainly had faith and I had a belief. And also, I would have experiences where I was communicating with those who had crossed over. And that started in my 20s as well. And it's not like in the movies, guys. It's not quite like that. Although there's that movie, was it called Ghost, with Ricky Gervais and Greg Kinnear is at it, and they do kind of bother you. They do. that's what I've learned. Is I started to get feelings and messages from those who crossed over, and it was never anybody that I knew personally that had crossed over. Let me just put that out there. And I also found out later as I read books from other mediums and psychics, because you confuse it with your memories, and that's and so that's normal. You would expect that, right? But then when you start getting hits and downloads and images from someone you don't know at all, then you're like, huh, there's something here. And also, when they have a message for you, if you guys ever seen the Long Island Medium, and all of a sudden she's like, I gotta go over there. Lisa Capot, she's great. I gotta go over there. I gotta go over there. Okay, well, it's a little bit like that. I will say that it is a little bit like that. If they lob onto you and you get that connection, they are repetitive in my mind anyway. Now everybody interprets the signals from the other side different, and it's a practice. And you always hear people like me say this: you can all do it. We can all do it. It's just a muscle. Well, first you have to believe, have faith first, but then you can practice. And remember, the body is the vessel. It filters to the mind, but it's not the mind. It's awareness. It's consciousness. It's beyond the monkey mind. So what for me, when I started to get these random messages, I'll just give you an example. My mom had a friend whose wife had died of cancer, and he was very devastated. And he was showing us his house, and he was showing us the big walk-in closet, and his wife's clothes were all still in the closet. I never met this woman. I just was meeting this guy for the first time, and we're in the closet, and he's going on about this beautiful closet, and all her clothes are still in there. He might have said something about him, and kept saying, "Tell him I don't need him. Tell him I don't need him. Tell him I don't need him. Tell him I don't need him. I don't need him. Tell him I don't need him." And I'm like, oh my God, lady, I don't know you. I can't just say to him, like, excuse me, your wife is bugging me here. She says she doesn't need any of these clothes. So it's kind of like that. I will get hits like that. And and very often, just like that, I can't say anything. I'm not Lisa Capot from Long Island Medium, but and she's wonderful. She's a healer. That's really what she is, because how she interprets the message is in a way that brings love and healing to the other person. So that's really what she's doing. Because those who have crossed over, it's hard to explain. They're themselves, but they're also the 400 different people they've been in past lives. So it's the essence. And so they just try to communicate things that you would remember of them in that life. If that makes sense. It probably doesn't make sense right now. I mean, my people, my woo-woo people, it makes sense. But I've been practicing lately with communicating with those who've crossed over, only because I find so many people blocked by fear and grief when they've lost somebody, and it breaks my heart. And this is where I'm empathetic, and it's hard to be sympathetic, because I'm like, they're okay. They're right there. They're okay. They love you. You're going to see them again. I know you miss them. Feel them. You'll feel them. And so that's where it's hard for me, because I just want to shake people sometimes. And then, of course, the task or the responsibility or whatever falls to me to try to prove it. Like, I want them to know. So I have been practicing. I'll admit it, that I've been practicing. I have a friend. I said, hey, can I channel your mom? And everyone gets messages different, and gets it interpreted like, like Lisa Capot. She has her own way, and spirit has their own way of giving her a message. And so, but like I said, I know how she's interpreting the message. She's a healer, that one. And she's lovely and she's beautiful. And somebody once asked her, why you? And she says, well, because I'm crazy enough to say whatever comes into my head. And that's how you have to be. So why me? Probably because I'm crazy enough to say whatever the fuck comes into my head. Because you have to be, because and that's how you practice that muscle too. Because as you get validation, like I was channeling a friend's mom, and I was seeing black and white checkers, and I thought it was an apron because she'd showed me a casserole dish and a recipe earlier, but no, she didn't like to cook. So that was not a good hit there, right? Your friend's like, no, she didn't. When I say, oh, I see a black and white checkered apron, and she's like, no, my mom didn't like to cook. And you're thinking, oh, well, I'm glad you're not paying me, and you're just a friend, because people get really picky. But turns out she had a favorite coat that she wore all the time, that was the sawtooth or whatever you call it, black and white. And then my friend then proceeds to send me like 10 pictures of her mom in this coat. Okay, so give me a break. I thought it was an apron. I'm not, like, so that's what I'm talking about is it's not like in the movies. Unfortunately, it'd be great if it was like that, if it was that clear, but it's a muscle you got to work on. So I have this deep faith. No, having said that, I still grieve. Both my parents have passed, and I do not feel my mom very much, and I haven't at all, really. I've had one dream that felt real long time ago. It was funny too. We were going to a family party. It was in an apartment complex, and I was about to walk in the front door, and I knew my whole family was going to be there. My mom died kind of young, and she died before her parents, so and her siblings, my aunts and stuff. And she met me at the door, and I said, about to go in. I said, Mom, what are you doing here? She said, Oh, we can come back for parties. I now know that was her, and that's real because they do. They can come back. They're always around. But I don't feel her much, and I think it's because she vibrates really high, and you have to get there. You have to get to that. If you don't believe in a fifth dimension, I mean, here's my cell phone. I'm holding my cell phone right now. There's all kinds of things coming down into my cell phone. I can see pictures, music, and it's all, you can't see it. You can't see it. So to say it doesn't exist, you don't know. You just don't know. It does. It exists. That's my faith. That's my belief. But so I would like people to know that, oh, I was going back, my dad. Yeah, I don't feel my mom, but I feel my dad. And I'm going to say that this is interesting what my dad communicated to me when he died. He said, or, that's another thing. I feel him in a certain energy. If I hear his voice, but it is my voice in a way too. It's hard to explain. But he said, you guys are taking it all way too seriously. You get to do it again. And he was laughing. He was laughing. And that's another thing I learned. They laugh a lot on the other side, you guys. It's my spirit guides are messing with me all the time. I have more than one. Charlie's my ride or die, but I have more than one. And they are goofballs and they fuck with me. I'm not kidding you. They actually will fuck with me because it's laughter. It's just laughter on the other side. And they do want you to know that we are taking it all too seriously and we're way too caught up in fear because you're writing the script of your own life right now. So they don't understand why we're not just writing in what we want. They don't understand why we're writing in fear. And it's because we're letting fear in. So we are taking it a little too seriously. And you do get to do it again, but that's no excuse to give up on this life. This life is important. Every moment's important. The present, the now. But there is something more. Have faith. And your loved ones are still around you. Have faith. And when it's your time, it's your time. Have faith that you will see all your loved ones again and everything is going to be okay. So other than that, that's all I can really say for now is know that there is more to life than what it's actually crazier than I can even explain to you. But it's beautiful and it's precious and it should be cherished and appreciated. We should all live in gratitude, the highest vibration. And in gratitude and love, fear cannot live. So until next time, punch fear in the face and namaste.